My whole problem with the reincarnation soul trap theory is that when you have online discussions about it, it's all about identifying the problem, but it's never about finding the solutions. One of the most common solutions that people give is, oh, don't go to the light. But I don't think that's nearly going to be enough, considering that if it was that simple, why haven't we been able to navigate it or circumnavigate that problem this entire time? And why do we keep getting born back here? I mean, I'm sure there have been people in the past that have also, understood this principle that you shouldn't go to the light or else you're going to get reincarnated again. But what if that's not enough? What if that's not enough? A lot of the information around the reincarnation soul trap theory is that our energy is being harvested by archons or elites or reptilians or greys, stuff like that. I 100% do believe that, but what if like that's not all, right? Of course, there are non-physical entities that will use our energy to sustain themselves. What if it goes deeper than that? What if our intention itself is the resource, right? Then that puts things in a whole different perspective. This reality that we're based in is fueled off of pure conscious attention energy being directed onto it. It's like the same way that we have these bodies and a soul tied to the body that allows us as the observer to use these vehicles to bounce information back and forth and perceive the reality as it is and also co-create with it. What if that in itself is way more energy siphoning than the idea of archons or entities siphoning our energy? What if that itself, just us being here, just being here in the physical, is itself the energy vampirism? I think that's the biggest energy vampirism there is. I mean, think about it. Humans need to sleep 1/3 of their lifespan. What kind of like faulty default programming is that? That's a weakness to me. So is having to defecate, so is having to pee. Those are also things that I consider weaknesses. So is eating, so is breathing, right? I mean, we're just adding on to the list of things, and we get sick, and when our bones break, it destroys our movement. I mean, if you're asking me, the human body is only operating upon certain conditions, and after we break certain things, they don't come back. We have very, very weak bodies. So not only do we have weak bodies, even though that's not really the topic of the video, we are also losing energy day to day just by being awake. I think that the reason why we have to sleep in order to replenish our energy, our conscious energy, is because the other side is like an infinite pool or one near infinite pool of conscious energy resource that we can pull from. The thing is, there's a veil that's separating us, which is the reason why we don't have the energy that we require in order to use our bodies at its full capacity. I mean, just imagine if you had full cellular control, but to do that, you would need more consciousness, which is why I believe that it's the conscious energy itself that's being drained by the matrix itself. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with grays or reptilians. But anyways, there's not a lot of solutions that are being, discussed. Not really. Just a bunch of fear mongering, and finding like subliminal symbolism that relates to Saturn, because apparently Saturn moon matrix, as David Icke coined it, is more important than trying to find the solution to the problem itself. I mean, everybody always talks about, in these circles at the very least, everybody always talks about, how to escape the matrix, but they're all saying the same thing, just avoid the light. And you know, sometimes they'll say, "Oh well, lucid dreaming is preparation in order to leave." But that's not all. I do think lucid dreaming is definitely preparation because if you think about it, right? I believe that the astral realm is going to be not that different from astral projection itself. So, if you already don't have control over your full astral projection control, then that's pretty much your telltale sign that when you get into the afterlife, you're not going to have your bearings. So maybe you won't even be able to identify if you're being led into a soul trap. You have to consider that. I would say that lucid dreaming and practicing astral projection, those are good. Those are good things in preparation for leaving the body. It increases your lucidity and increases the amount of awareness that you can bring into the other side. Considering that we, you know, all our awareness is on this side right now, but when we go to sleep, we can't even remember our own dreams. That basically tells us that we haven't trained for that side. We spend our entire existences only aware of the physical. So we come to this incorrect assumption that all that we are is physical, which is why a lot of people, when they hear the things that people talk about on the r/astral projection or r/escaping prison planet subreddit, think we're crazy because all they've ever known is the physical. In the Gnostics, they would consider those people the Halics. People who study the mind, they would be called the psychics. While people who are solely focused on, you know, looking beyond the material world and escaping it, those would be called the pneumatics. Right now, I would be something like a psychic pneumatic hybrid because I understand like, you know, the importance of the mind. Actually, I could also be a helic as well because I also like take a bit of importance into how I take care of my body. I think all three facets need to be fulfilled, and if you don't, then you're always going to be imbalanced while in these bodies. You're not focusing on your mind and your spirit as well as your body while you're in this reality, then you will feel it. You will feel the imbalance. My theory of how to actually escape has to deal with the vibratory state. And when I enter the vibratory state, from there I can lucid dream, astral project, have an out of body projection, because the vibratory state is like something that happens in all three of those cases right before the experience. So, my theory is that if you could find a way to stay in this vibratory state for as long as possible and then carry this throughout the day while doing your everyday activities, I believe that this is actually like increasing your amount of conscious energy just by staying in that vibratory state. It just produces endless bliss energy while also expanding your consciousness. Imagine if you could get that to happen 24/7, all day, every day. I believe that you would be building up the energy that you're allowed to have in the human body. It's pretty hard to maintain that state, but you know that's my theory. If you were able to maintain that state for long periods of time, that's what it would lead to. It would lead to unlocking like abilities that you never had before. You wouldn't need to sleep. Oh yeah, there's studies that have found that a certain amount of meditation, you know, every day can replace sleep. And I've actually tested this out myself. When I used to meditate every day, I would meditate throughout the night and then wake up through the meditation, but I would feel like I didn't need to, I wasn't even groggy. It would be like I never really slept at all. because I was able to carry awareness in like lucid dream at the same exact time. And then when I woke up, I still felt like not much had changed since I went to sleep. I still felt fully rested, yeah, and I still had a full day, but I didn't need to sleep the normal amount because I had meditated for so long, trying to keep that vibratory state. I think the vibratory state, because like everybody talks about, you know, how you have to meditate in order to unlock these psychic abilities or to achieve these states, but they never tell you like, you know, the exact meditation to do it, or they never tell you the specifics. They never differentiates. They never elaborates on if you're doing it right or when you're doing it right. How do you know if you're doing it right? I think that there's only, you know, really one way to meditate, and that's to reach the vibratory state. And if you're not reaching the vibratory state while meditating, then I think you're doing something wrong, honestly. Because the vibratory state, you know, as far as practicality goes, when you're discussing things of the mind, that's kind of funny. Practical mind physics. As far as practicality goes, if you're not reaching the vibratory state every time you meditate, then you're probably not meditating at all. A lot of people are afraid, and their fears end up crossing into the things that they believe they will do in order to avoid reincarnating. And I think that's the wrong way to go about it. I don't think that you should be afraid of reincarnating. I don't think that you should be trying to avoid the white light, even. Because to try to avoid the white light is playing into the fear of the white light. Let me explain. You're dealing with a world that doesn't operate like the physical world. Whatever is on your mind will be instantly displayed to you. This is the kind of reality that the astral realm is. And this is why being afraid of things in the astral realm will bring you closer to that thing, because you are in a realm that manifests what you are thinking about. So being afraid of reincarnating might just land you back into the reincarnation loop just because you thought about it that much. What you focus on becomes your reality when you are astral projecting. Because manifestation works way differently over there. Everything's almost like you snap your finger and you instantly have what you were thinking about or what you wanted when you're astral projecting. It's just like lucid dreaming. Sometimes with a slight lag, though. So that's why you shouldn't be carrying fears into your astral projection. That's why you shouldn't be carrying fears into death. You should never be feared or afraid at death. This goes into also the type of funeral that I would want to have. My type of funeral would be one where there's a lot of happiness, joy. I want people to be drinking and dancing at my funeral. I don't want people to mourn my death. Because to mourn my death would be only creating negative energy around me while I'm trying to lift myself up out of the physical realm. You would want something that's like high energy, something that's like ecstatic and filled with jubilee. As far as like, you know, the energy around you goes. That's what I would want, at least. I wouldn't want a bunch of gloomy people at my funeral. I would want lots of dancing and singing. That's how that's how the Native Americans did it. How they used to do it, and they would also burn the bodies. I don't want to be I don't want to be buried. I want to be burned. And I'm not talking like a cremation where they keep my ashes. I don't want them to keep my ashes. Let my ashes go to the wind. Because to keep somebody's, you know, pieces of somebody's body as mementos from when they were alive, it's kind of creepy, honestly. And I feel like it leaves them to attach to your energy, even though you probably would not like to be attached to while you're in the astral realm. Another thing about the soul trap theory is that when you get to the astral realm, It's not over. You're still in the matrix. But getting your bearings and getting control of the astral realm is the first step, I believe, to get out of the matrix. So you should want to be very, very fluent in the astral language, I guess you could say. You should know how to navigate that first. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to tell the exit from the entrance, even though the exit is probably the entrance, anyways. I don't think it's easy, but at the same time, I don't think it's hard either. I think that there's objective things that you can do right now in order to increase your chances of escaping, which would be the meditation exercise that I stated before, which gets at the vibratory state. My personal meditation is I look, like, with my eyes, I go kind of cross-eyed and I look into where my third eye would be. And I focus on that. And I focus on vibrating my pineal gland and turning it into like white light and making it secrete like a gold liquid so that it's kind of like gold is coming out of my third eye. At the same time I'm doing this, I'm also doing a breathing meditation. Breathe in, breathe out. But as I breathe in, I'm imagining my aura as lungs. So my aura around me is my lungs. So I'm breathing in energy and breathing out. And it helps to associate your aura with the lungs. Because we all, breathing is second nature and we all know what it feels like to breathe. So we can connect to the subconscious to influence our own aura and our own energy field just by thinking of our aura as our lungs, because we're so used to breathing. It's like a mind hack, I guess you could say. So as you're doing that, you want to have energy go up the spine and ring in the head. You want it to hit the top of your crown like a gong, like dong, and imagine it creating a vibration when the energy goes up your spine and hits the top of your head. And then you want the energy to loop around and go down the front of your body until you get back to the root chakra. And then you want to complete the loop by going back to the base of the spine and then just keep it looping that way. But every time the energy goes up, you want it to hit the head and ring like a gong so that you're creating that vibration. And you also want a little bit of energy. You don't want to just have all the energy travel, because then you're not building energy in the head, you're just creating a loop. You want a little bit to stay in your head. So you don't want all of the energy. Like, you're pulling in energy at the same time as you're doing this. This is why you're using your aura like you're using your lungs. So you're intaking energy. You're also getting rid of bad energy, waste energy. But the new energy is getting stored in your head, and then a little bit is coming back out. But you want to be intaking more energy than you're putting out, because how else are you supposed to raise your vibration other than to raise the amount of energy that you have? The more energy you have that fits into your aura, the more complex it has to become to fold in on itself in order to contain the energy that you have added to your aura. At least that's how I think of it. It's kind of like amplitude and sound wave. The wavelength and the frequency are all the same. The only thing that's changing is the volume or the amplitude of the energy that's being thrown into that sound wave in order to make the sound louder. And that itself, shows you that the more energy that you have, the more stronger your sound wave or your wave will be. Which is why when you're doing these meditation exercises, you want to be putting in more energy than you're letting out. A lot of people talk about how when they die, they would want to be on like some sort of psychedelic I think that's kind of dangerous because personally, I believe that when you use a certain type of psychedelic, you're hacking your nervous system in order to access a place that you are not used to and have no bearing to, meaning you have no control. So you're being basically helped out by entities to get to a realm which you have no control over or know how to navigate. And you're being shown things against your will. But somehow some people who do psychedelics and think that they have a bearing over spirituality just because they use the psychedelic, they think they have control. I don't think they have control at all, which is why I would be afraid to use psychedelics at death because you're throwing yourself into a realm that you have no control over and don't know how to navigate without the substance. Because if the substance is the gateway to that realm, and you don't know how to get there any other way, that implies that you do not have control over that realm in any sort of fashion. Because you're dependent upon that substance to get there. If you're gonna use like a psychedelic substance, you shouldn't use it like more than 3 times. Because on that third time, you should be familiar enough with the feeling of that place in order to use your biofeedback abilities in your body to get there without using the substance again. I believe that after you use a substance to access a different realm, you should be able to go there without the substance. And if you can't, then that implies that you just don't know how to do it. It's almost like the same as re-entering a dream that you had before. Like it's like the same dream space. If you can't do that, that implies that you don't have a lot of control at all. So yeah, one of the markers of if you have control over like the realm that a psychedelic puts you into is if you can visit it again without the psychedelic. Same way that if you have a lot of control over your subconscious, then you would be able to enter the same dream over and over and over again at will. But yeah, those are my thoughts about Reincarnation Soul Trap. I dropped a lot of gems in this, a lot of hints, things that, people who are looking for practical uses of spiritual practices, they can look at this video and be like, "Oh, okay, that fills in like a piece of the puzzle that I've been missing." And then they can take that and then they can go to work using what they already know. I guess that's my skill. I help people fill in the blanks. I hope this helps somebody. Peace out.